the Wheel of Time. Yes, precious. We are back. We are back to part 3 of this book, and we've broken it down into 3 because there are so many significant things going on in it. So last time we went through all of the stuff with Rand and so many wild stories about the Aiel. And of course, that was with the Nerdporeal Lifeform, who is with us again today. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for inviting me. We're two first-time readers talking about the Wheel of Time. Um, I don't know if I ever mentioned, but this is the book. The fourth book is where the book started to be less. The series started to be less enjoyable for me compared to the first three. Especially, I mean, there were great chapters in this. Don't get me wrong, but there were some rough chapters, and I think that a lot of it goes to a lot of that is attributed to the Tanchico stuff, honestly, in my opinion. And there's a
Ah,
few Rand, the other few chapters that I kind of groaned at were all the Rand and Avienda ones. Like Avienda's mean to him for only reason because Elaine gave him a note or said something,
mhm.
because he didn't ask her to stay with him, which is
Yeah,
why she left a good note and a bad note to him. So
very
yeah.
adolescent. Yeah, yeah, I got a little sick of it too, but it does pay off because we got what's really going on underneath, of course, all of this, which if you know anything about women, it's pretty obvious that they're
Hmm.
everyone's in love with Rand. I mean, it is a little bit ridiculous. I mean, like, can't they? A woman be in love with someone else for a little bit? You know, we've got Min's in love with him, Elaine's in love with him, Avienda's in love with him, Egwene, I guess, was kind of in love with him.
No, I don't think she ever really was. They were like promised to each other in the Two
Mm,
Rivers or something.
yeah.
So
Well,
I think Rand was a little bit more invested than she was.
yeah. Well, that's what I meant when I said kind of in love with him. It's
Like
like,
she had no reason to leave with them in the first place. I
yeah,
mean, she's basically a runaway. She just ran away from home.
yeah.
She spotted her opportunity to run away.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, and she, became a Aes Sedai. Well, sort of an Aes Sedai. They're lying that they're Aes Sedai right now, but they are because they're just accepted. They're like the equivalent of novices who've made their first vows. So
Hmm.
yeah. Well, I wanted to say hello to Grifter. Thank you, Grifter23X, for being here. Let's go. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, we got a lot to cover. So we wanted to start out today with all hell breaking loose in the tower. I can't get over it, frankly. It's pretty intriguing. And up to this point, I really didn't give a crap too much about Swan. I mean, she was just there being Swanee, and oh,
Yeah.
I'm the seat, I'm the Amerlin seat. And then when this coup happens that goes on, it was really compelling, and I started to feel sorry for her because what ends up happening, well, she's minding her own business. We have this bitch named Aleda who is the red. I like to think of the red like Aja, like the Slytherins in Harry Potter. It's because, it's like, oh, everyone hates the reds. Oh, it's a
Yeah.
red. Of course, a red is the one that does this.
Yeah. But then you got something worse. You got the black. You got the black Acha,
Oh, yeah.
which they all deny, or they all deny its existence. So yeah, this was a game changing chapter. This was one that I was kind of surprised about, but at the same time I was a little disappointed because this was foreshadowed in the first chapter. I
Mhm.
was expecting like an attack on the tower. I wasn't expecting like this schism was the thing that, oh, the three Aes Sedai are going to die, or Suwan's going to be. I don't remember what Suwan's vision was that Min
Mhm.
saw. I think she was naked or
She was
something.
naked. Yeah, she was gonna be naked and lying down, which did come true. I agree with you. I thought it was gonna be something more horrifying because I was really impressed in a bad way with the whole first chapter. It really
Yeah.
freaked me out. It was like the thing from The Sixth Sense where it's like, I see dead people. Like everywhere she looked, she saw them, but they weren't dead yet.
So there was a section from a previous chapter where this one girl was sent to a farm because she didn't know why she was sent to a farm, but then she gets murdered. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh yeah, it was really
She
creepy
gets
too
murdered by an
because
unseen Aes Sedai. Now the
mhm.
question is, uh, I'm not going to ask if you saw this, but I'm just curious who you think that Aes Sedai was that murdered the girl.
I think that it was definitely a Black Aja that was in the tower that we don't know yet. I think it might be that second in command to Swan. I forget her name, or the one that ended up second in command to Elida.
Her name is Alviarin.
Thank you, because
So,
I hate these names.
there's one thing. So you know what Alviarin is a white Aja. White
Mhm.
Aja are like the Vulcans. They're in Star Trek. They're very dispassionate, and they don't really take a whole lot of interest in stuff outside of their own activities, their own affairs, basically.
Mm.
So when in the very first chapter, the Elida segment, Elida tells Alviarin some of her suspicions about Suwan,
Oh.
and Alviarin takes an interest in it. Makes you wonder.
Oh. Dun dun dun. Yeah, but it's definitely creepy, and I like the way that it's each book is guess the Black Aja or guess who is really a dark friend or even a whatever the hell they're called, Forsaken.
Yeah. So I think starting with the third book, Forsaken start appearing all over the place. Like they start appearing in different parts of the world under different names. Like you met Bilal, the High Lord Salmon,
Mhm.
and then you met well, Lanfear was Celine, but she wasn't like a power player. She just kind of just shows up, and she just shows up to our heroes and disappears and appears and disappears and all that. um but and we met Lord Brand. Well, we didn't
Mhm.
meet Lord Brand yet, but we heard about him in with Samael in Ilion.
Hmm.
And the one thing that and this was something I figured out, all the Forsaken are called great mistresses or great masters. So I figured
Oh.
out a certain Lord Gabriel might be was is a great master. So I'm assuming he may or may not be a Forsaken.
Oh, dun dun dun. And a reminder, spoilers only up to this book, so no one blurt it out if you know what's going on. Yeah,
Nope.
that's part of what's so much fun. I like the way that it's a, a fantasy, it's an epic, but it's also a mystery. And of course, we know right now that well, one of the Forsaken is working with Rand, though we're going to get to that in a little bit. Rather, at the end of the book, something is revealed. So, yeah, so the whole idea of the White Tower, like going to hell, to me, it reminded me of like what would happen if in the Vatican, like if a whole group of people decided to depose the Pope. And we have had in history situations where there were people, as many as three, claiming to be the Pope. Of course, there was only one, but that kind of a split that happened in the tower, and then people had to declare their loyalties. It's like, oh, am I going to be loyal to this new um, chick, or am I going to stay loyal to Swan, or am I going to stay loyal, well, that's next book, to a new one? So throwing the tower into chaos, because they keep saying like the tower has never really fallen like this before. It reminded me about Tyr, the whole prophecy thing, that
Yeah.
your Tyr's not going to fall, and that falls, and that's a sign that the dragon reborn is coming, and now we have the tower falling.
Hmm. Yeah. And a lot there's actually a lot of off-screen deaths, like that one character, what was his name, the one that I forget his name.
Yeah.
He's the one that tells Galad and Gowan that he's going to put up the bet um to fight when they fight Mad and the Dragon Reborn. I forget his name.
Yes.
But he's one of the many casualties of this thing, of this schism. And we find out that Gowan, because of his suspicion, and like because Suwan was keeping stuff from him about Elaine, he ultimately sides with Elida.
I know. Pissed me off. Like,
And
you dumbass.
and one thing I thought was interesting was the way, like, so Jordan had to come up with a means for them to escape. How are they gonna get out of that tower? How are they gonna get out of that tower without not being recognized? Well,
Mhm.
one of the issues I had, especially with the future book, was just that there's all these first times for all these things.
Mhm.
And the thing was that I failed to grasp or to take in was that a lot of these actions haven't been done in a very long time. So stilling someone
Mhm.
is not done often at all.
No.
So as a result of that, they don't know much about the nature of stilling and whether or not it could be whether or not it could be reversed. So right now, I mean, based on all the buildup, it's irreversible, and you feel it. And I actually listened to the audiobook for this before I actually read this portion. I was walking
Mhm.
late at night by myself, and you hear Kate Redding, who does all the female points of views, all the female voices, and she just says, "They stilled me.
Oh.
They stilled me." And that's how Suwan's segment ends, basically. And so the thing about that is when they get stilled, their appearance changes almost
Yeah.
entirely, except for their eyes, and they look younger. So Liana and Suwan look young, look like kids at this point, or teenagers, and they don't. And so like they can basically they could relive their lives, like they can have kids and all that, like they're young again. So
Mhm.
um and this was an interesting thing because they're down, they're trying to get out of the tower, and if I remember correctly, they had to prostrate themselves when Elida and her people were walking by. And I was just imagining the type of shot that they would use if they ever adapted it. And it would be like they would show like an upside down shot, and then they would do like a 360, well, maybe not 360, but maybe 180, as Elida and her and LVR and their supporters are approaching the camera. And then you have them kneeling down, and we see their point of view, and they look up, and Elida and the rest of them just pass them like they're nothing, basically. Or maybe Elida gives a slight like look or something. But that's, I don't know, at least that's how I imagine. And of course, the music was very menacing, and but still very, epic at the same time, because it's Wheel of Time. So
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. I imagine that it'd be as though you can't see all of a sudden, or this is an analogy I thought of, is suddenly I couldn't hear, play, or read music. Like music was just sucked out of me somehow. That would just kill me.
or there's a story by Harlan Ellison. It's called "I Have No Mouth But I Must Scream."
Oh,
It's that same type of thing.
wow. Yeah. Yeah. The horror of it. And of
Because
all people, she was the one who got stilled, because there's always talking about being stilled. And I
yeah,
thought it would do someone else.
yeah. So and then I think in earlier, I don't know if it was this book or earlier books, and Robert Jordan definitely reinforces a lot of stuff that was set up in other books. But like when someone gets stilled, they usually either they learn to live with it, or they don't live long. And usually
Yeah.
the case, they don't live long unless you find something else to fill that hole, like addiction in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Like
because
when you go
like
to AA, when you're right, that you learn what to do instead of drinking.
and that's going to be like a big that's going to be something, that's going to be an idea that's going to be talked about in especially the chapters, and well, you've already read that far, so you know what I'm talking about
Yeah.
without going into it. But yeah, it's something that they have to live with forever, as far as they know. But then again, the nature of fantasy, and this is what I like about fantasy, is there's always things to discover.
Mm-hmm.
And one aspect of this, and something Steve told me, Prophet of the Dragon, is that, well, I said I don't know crap. They
Yeah.
think they know crap, but they don't know crap. And so
Ooh.
you find out things that are discovered by our young heroes, our young Supergirls, as some Wheel of Time book channels call them. But yeah, there's a lot of discoveries that have yet to be made, and it's one of the things I like about fantasy, is it's all about going out into the world and discovering things.
Mm. Oh yeah. Well, I saw some interviews with Robert Jordan where he also talked about fantasy is like the one place where you can really have good versus evil and not make it seem cheesy. You know, that fantasy is just made for this kind of, there is good and there is bad, and that's just all there is to it. Like, they are fighting these dark ones. They are fighting these black Ajas. I don't know if they can be redeemed, but right now they're just plain evil and they must be defeated. It's one truth that people like the White Cloaks are right about. That if they think that the Aes Sedai or the Dark Friends and all of that are really bad and they must be defeated. The problem with the White Cloaks is they seem to be fighting the wrong people, and that's just see Dark Friends everywhere instead of it seems like they miss all the real ones,
Yeah,
or Pat Unchained.
bad leadership,
Yeah,
bad
bad radar.
bad radar. Yeah.
Wow.
Pedro Nile is far from a bad leader. Like, he's one of the great captains of Randland, so to speak. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, you'll find out you'll find out more about him in the next couple books.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, and I used to be annoyed by the White Cloaks, but they're starting to grow on me because it's like, oh, gee, another White Cloak chapter.
Yeah,
You know.
I was hoping that the White Cloaks would redeem themselves at the end of this book, and especially Dane Bornhold. And I know we haven't gotten to Perrin yet, but since we're
Mhm.
on the topic of White Cloaks, that was the one thing. That was the one. There was that thing, and then there was a few other nitpicky things about the Perrin stuff, like like the lack of like deaths of anyone like important and all that. But at the
Mhm.
same time, the way he used death was actually a bit of a gut punch. But we'll get to that. So
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of the White Cloaks, what you said, you thought maybe it would happen at the end of this book. I can see them starting to join the good side and proclaim the Dragon Reborn. Oh my gosh, if this
oh,
happens, I will die. I will scream. If, I don't know, by the end at the final battle or something, they fly the dragon, the banner of the dragon, I just will not be able to handle myself. So,
I'll tell you what I was hoping would happen. Now, it might
mhm.
not have made sense, but when we get to it, I'll tell you what I was hoping to see happen. So
Mhm. Alrighty. Well, okay. Well, I guess the only really thing to talk about the Supergirls, it does go on a little bit too much for me, but there is a really big badass fight with Nynaeve with that Mondragol or whatever. Wait, oh my gosh, I almost said a
Mogedian,
bad word.
Mogedian.
Thank you. I almost said.
So
I almost
Mogedian
said a
is is the spider. She is the one
Mhm.
that stays in the shadow. She's basically she's basically an evil Varus, I guess you could say, from Song of Ice and Fire. Varus was the
Oh
eunuch, the bald
yes,
eunuch.
yes, he was
You know.
awesome.
Oh yeah, Mogedion is kind of like him. She's also called the Spider. She lingers in the shadows. She spies on people and uses stuff against them. She's a big one of my favorite. One of the besides the fight, I like the chapter. I like the moment at the end of one of the chapters where she uses compulsion on
Ah,
Nynaeve and Elaine.
oh
And
yeah.
I liked how like he basically showed what compulsion is like. So when you do use compulsion on two people, it's like they're competing to do the better job at following the instructions or a suggestion of what the person, weaving that, is the one that's weaving is commanding, basically.
Yeah,
Like
they
like
become
Elaine and Nynaeve were
supernatural
like,
simps.
and they get pissed off at each other, or they're trying to, who's going to do the better job and all that. So,
Yeah,
but
I
that was
thought that
the
was really cute.
because they were getting so insufferable. I'll be honest. This I was there was a great chapter with Tom and Moraine where they were both kind of like it was almost like a Game of Thrones type of chapter where they're doing game of houses, trying to
Mhm.
get read each other's moves and all that. I thought that was great. And then she's like, "Well, I need you to protect Elaine, since you are used to have a thing with it with her mom or something like that."
Yeah, more
And
gays.
then after that, Tom just became a background character, and just to take the abuse of Nynaeve. And weird chapter with Elaine where she gets drunk and then she starts pulling at his mustaches and
Oh,
calls her
that was
mother,
annoying.
and then says something bad about her mother to the point where Tom actually smacks her, which was nice. That was very
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah,
But
that got very annoying. And Nynaeve, I want to just punch her in the face. I think that she is far too annoying, and I don't know if she's going to redeem herself in my eyes, but I could care less. Like, if she were to die, I would just be like, fine, whatever, dumb bitch. You can take you and your tugging braids to eternity for all I care.
I'm on a chapter where something interesting happens to her, and something game changing happens at the same time because of this interesting thing that happens to her.
Oh,
And I'm not going to say what it is because, like you said, but there is hope that she will change because of that.
okay.
Um, Hopefully, she'll be less prickly, and I don't know. But apparently, a lot of people say that she grows towards the very end. She has like a great moment. She becomes more likable.
Yeah.
So
Maybe Lynn
I am
smacks
still
her.
having a hard time seeing this because she's been through the ringer at this point of the story for me, and she's still prickly, and prickly, and she's in her mid-20s, like she's not young. So
Hmm.
like letting Egwene and Elaine, who are babies compared to her, they're still teenagers, um get under her skin. It's just like,
It's
oh
like, come
well.
on, grow up.
Yeah, and it's just but she's been like that since the very first time we meet her in Eye of the World. So I was actually hoping she would not catch up with them,
Hmm.
um, and then she does, and then all of a sudden she falls in love with Lan. This is my first read. This is the first time I opened this book. I was like, "What is?" I'm like, "Really? What? Isn't there like an age difference or something? Why is Lan in love with her?"
Yeah,
Like
I've always been thinking that.
I had a hard time like I could see her falling for him because
Hmm.
she's virgin, she's never really been in love, so she falls for him. So I could see her trying to pursue him, but a guy like Lan, he probably got a body
Yeah.
count.
Yeah, I have
They
always
probably
had
had a
trouble with that.
so I mean I'm willing to accept it now, and I read Eye of the World again. I actually really enjoyed it even more the second time. So
Yeah.
when all those guys that disagree with me on my initial complaints about these books, they always say the second read is the best read. So
Yeah. Oh, I'm already looking forward to it because as I continue to read these books, I am finally going, oh, so that's what that meant in book 2 or book 3. It's all like
yeah,
becoming so clear. It's so greatly crafted. But I
yeah,
guess the best thing to say about this whole thing with the Supergirls, that besides the whole learning about the spider, I'll just say her name because I'm such an Egypt when it comes to trying to pronounce her name. They find that evil Tangreal thing where that it's that the Shan Khan, one of those collars that can be done to Rand, it can be done to the Dragon Reborn, and so it's like a really dangerous thing, and they got to
yeah.
like stop it at all costs.
Yeah, the Sean Shan actually make a comeback in this book. So we meet them in the Great Hunt.
Hmm.
Very, very dangerous. Now you have you have their typical soldiers. They're actually more honorable, but they're very dangerous at the same time. Like they have weaponized channeling. They have managed to
Mhm.
weaponize channeling to the point where a typical army, they are practically unstoppable. You know, like the White Cloaks under Jeffrey Bornhall got completely wiped out by them, and he had a
Mhm.
legion. He had a legion behind him, and they all died because of the demone.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, but we see High Lady Soroth again. She was the one that Leandrin was in cahoots with. She's, dark friend. She's, I don't know, I don't know if there's any other Sean Chan there are dark friends besides
Mhm.
her, but she plays a prominent role. I just encountered her again in my read. I'm not going to say how,
Mhm.
but yeah, she is bad, and we get to see some of the bad aspects of the Sean Chan, especially the way they dehumanize the demone. And
Mhm.
Egwene got to feel that, and Egwene still has PTSD from that. Um, and not only that, but they enslave people. Like they can enslave people and take someone that was important and make them lower than a
Yeah, less
peasant.
than 0.
Yes.
Yeah. The one fascinating aspect of that in here was they found that you could actually like one though, because they they realized like, oh crap, this one seems like she's a nice person and she's a friend, and so they're not completely evil. And I like the struggle that they had with that.
Yeah, that was Eggianen, and she
Yep.
was in the Great Hunt. I didn't realize this in my first read, but she was in the Great Hunt. We see her briefly. She
Hmm.
captures the ship that Bail Dillman was on, and that
Oh.
introduces us to the Sean Chan. And then, well, in this at the end of this book, she leaves with Bail Dillman. So, um, and I haven't seen them since personally, but I'm curious where we see it when we see them again.
Oh, alrighty. So more to that. All right. Well, let's switch gears and go along with Perrin, because this was badass. The way that this ended up, I just loved it more than life itself. This was the moment where I kind of was cheering when he does this great big battle. But we talked briefly last time about how Perrin, who's Taverin, came back and found that his family was killed, and that the white cloaks are all there and they've got this power over the people, and that they're afraid of him. Sorry, rather they're afraid of the white cloaks, and he kind of rallies them to stand up to him. I like that.
Yeah, when they come back home, so they hear about the White Cloak. So this was all set up from the prologue of the Dragon Reborn. So I was actually really looking forward to this part of looking forward to them coming back home, and like what are the White Cloaks going to do, what's going to happen. And you didn't just get White Cloaks, you got Pan Fane who was there, and
Hmm.
Pan Fane. The only reason why Pan Fane did all this was because of the fact that he never faced Rand in the Great Hunt. And I forget, but I believe he said, "I will if we don't meet, then I'm going to kill everybody you love," or something like that. And
Mm,
so this was
yeah.
this was his attempt to do that. And so he's being hunted by this other player who works directly for the Shadow. His name is Slayer, and
Wow.
Slayer's like the main villain, the main antagonist to Perrin in this story.
Yeah.
But the whole thing with we learn of like they go back home, and we learn about Perrin's family for the first time. Like it was never mentioned like who
Hmm.
they were, and we learn all about them. And then we find out, we find out that he never sent letters to them. Egwene sent letters to her folks. He never
Mm.
sent letters to his. So by the time he gets back home, he finds out from Egwene's parents that they're all dead. And I
Yeah.
remember I remember reading this. I felt like I got the wind knocked out of me. It was almost like the Red Wedding.
Mm.
It was almost like reading the Red Wedding in the Storm of Swords. It had that same effect. I mean, I like it when books can do that. Now,
Hmm.
the only nitpick I had was that we didn't actually meet them. We didn't actually meet them. I think if
Mm.
we would have met them, it might have even had an even bigger impact.
Yeah.
But that's just a nitpick. Because even though we didn't meet them, and he just put enough in the chapter for us to learn about them in detail.
Yeah.
Worked on me.
Yeah, it did. And his reaction to it gave us that gut punch. I can imagine that maybe there were scenes like that that Robert Jordan had written and just ended up on the cutting room floor, and that they chose to present it this way. But I was just devastated because that was part of the whole reason he was going home, of course. And the know that they're dead based, I don't want to say because of him, but kind of, yeah, because of him.
You know what's even more horrifying about this whole thing?
What?
You know what's even more horrifying about this whole thing?
Oh, yeah, I'm saying yes. Yeah, like what?
The fact that I actually my impression of Fail improved because of that.
Yay!
And
Finally.
that's awful because she's terrible. I don't like her at all.
Oh no, I love her. Oh gosh, you're a terrible man.
No,
Well,
I'm just a wool head or whatever they say in the Two Rivers.
yeah. Oh boy.
Man.
No. Well,
So
men are from Mars and women are from Venus, because I am not annoyed by these women characters, and I like the romance, and I liked the way, I think it was in this book where he knocked File down a few pegs because she was just being a little too aggressive. Like, she was even hitting him, and then finally he kind of hit her. I don't think he hit her back, but he definitely got aggressive back, and then she got all pissed off, and she was like, "Hey men, why didn't you come and help me?" And they were all like, "You started the fight." So I did enjoy that. That might have been in the last.
and then parents like, I don't understand women. Rand and
Yes.
Matt understand all the women. I don't.
Yeah, exactly. And of
So
course,
it always ends up like that. So
yeah, I always think that's clever.
because her folks are from Saldea, I believe,
Hmm.
and she actually, it's one of those cases where she wants him to stand up to her or something, and he just doesn't. He just has no clue because that's just not how he was. That's not how he was taught. So
Yeah. He's taught to be a gentleman. But I liked it so much, even though it was really sad. And I also liked that we kind of got to go back and meet the people from the Two Rivers from the first book. We haven't really seen them. So it's kind of like going back into a society that I had kind of missed, and I wanted to know what was going on. And apparently, shit was hitting the fan. And I mean, they were gonna go, what was it, initially to confront the white cloaks, help me out here, and then like a whole bunch of damn Trollocs showed up. It's like, what the hell? It's like all hell broke loose.
yeah, so the Trollocs were being drawn, or were basically, they were basically there to hunt Pan Fame, but they end up killing people in the process. So when they get back, they're like, oh, there's Trollocs lurking about the woods around here, and we find out that they're coming out of the Waygate. That's in the mountains, basically. The Manetheren, they call it the Manetheren Waygate, and Loyal, has to go. Him and Gaul basically have to run there and try to basically avoid whole camps of Trollocs, hundreds of them at the same time, get to the Waygate and then seal it so that that no more reinforcements show up, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And it was crazy because like Perrin right before that gets injured. So there's the rescue from the White Cloaks where they rescue the blacksmith, what's his name, Lewin, and his wife, and a few other people. I think Matt's family, and they get rescued, and then after that, they patrol and they try to. Perrin actually loses men for the first time. Perrin actually leads into a mini skirmish or a mini battle, and he gets wounded in the process, and he loses a bunch of men. Now we don't meet the men, but we do get a bunch of names, and we get to see how it affects him as a leader. And I thought that was great, building up to him being, instead of him being at the front lines, just being another guy with a weapon, he actually had to lead and had to give instruction for the first time because he was wounded. He couldn't fight.
Hmm.
He couldn't fight, so he had to stay behind and give direction and give people orders, and everybody was going to him.
Yeah.
Everybody was asking him for his guidance. He's just like, "Why are you coming to me?" It's like, "Well, who else are we going to look to?" Like, and even Tamel Thor, who was, who was a soldier and who had military experience. Even he's like, I can help you with the military aspect. I can help you build defenses, but you're the leader. You're the leader,
Mhm.
dude. They all look to you. So
Yeah. Golden eyes. I like it. That's where he starts to get that, and they start to have a banner for him. You know me, I'm a sucker for a banner.
yeah,
So, and they start calling him Lord. And at first, he was kind of against it, but he finally comes to accept it. And of course, he speaks in tongues. I keep saying that, where he just bursts out into the old language.
yeah.
And oh wait, or am I thinking of Matt? Shit.
Matt
Open
Matt does
reference.
that. I don't remember
Okay.
Perrin doing that.
You're right. Wrong person. Perrin's the one who gets the wolf stuff. And
Yeah,
I just love that aspect of him. Yeah, it was the other one. Sorry. I will fuck up. Pardon me. Oh, gosh. I've been given.
Catholic
Okay.
cussing. Catholic
Catholic cussing
cussing.
happened. I've been trying to give it up for Lent. And I don't count the ones that include my cat. Because, cats make you curse. But yeah, well, that was one of them. Yeah. So sorry.
It's interesting. Like like Catholics are not afraid to cuss. Um, I don't think any of the I don't know about the Orthodox. I think I remember going to Orthodox camp, summer camp. They
Oh
cussed.
boy.
They cussed. But like all the other, but like Protestants, they don't cuss. They're very strict on that. They're very strict on that. So whenever
Yeah.
I have a lot of Protestant friends, I never swear around them
Hmm.
because,
Well, yeah, I
A,
try. Well,
I don't want to make them uncomfortable, and B,
hmm
you know, I don't, like I said, like, if they can do it, so can I.
yeah. No, I mean, it does say in
Unless I'm
scripture.
driving, then I'll say the F word when I'm driving
Yeah.
and people are driving like idiots.
Yeah. Well, and it's not all Catholics. There's a lot that don't. I keep telling people that's my last vice. That's why I've been working on it. I've been working on it. But in any case, yes, that will make me mess up when I mess up things about Perrin. It's like, yeah, I'm going in there. It's like, well, Father, the reason why is I was talking about the Wheel of Time and I messed up. Was it the wolf or was it Matt? And many would probably understand. So, in any case, when you have this whole thing with Perrin, one thing that I just died over at the end of the whole big battle, he said to his cousin, I believe, he says, "You tell your children about today. You tell your grandchildren and your grandchildren's children." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." Like they're making legends. They're making
Yes.
new stories. They're new heroes. And when I saw that, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, maybe that was it. Yeah, I think that was uh, a cousin. I'll have to. I forgot about that. You're
Yeah,
right.
it's James Ahara, Lord Perrin. I'm your cousin, I think, sort of anyway. So they're probably like cousins 5 times removed. And he's like, well, cousin James. So there we go. Oh boy. And then James goes, wait till I tell had Lord Perrin called me a cousin. So who knows? But in any case, it's just cool. And it's also the whole idea, what is it? Beneath the red eagle banner at the edge of where fields had stood, long rows of men in farmers' clothes shooting their bows, and beside them that file and all this. So this image of the farmers rising up and fighting and being all cool and under banners, and I just really, really loved it. And they're like, they're breaking. The Trollocs are breaking. And they are shouting, Devon Ride. The men, I mean, I heard them. So good stuff.
Yeah, you tell your Yeah, yeah, I found it right here. I have it right here.
Mm,
You tell your grandchildren, your grandchildren's children, I'm not going to have any. Girls are horrible. They laugh at you and they don't like They don't like to do anything worth doing, and you never understand what they're saying. I think one day you'll find out they're the opposite of horrible. Some of it will change. Some of it won't change, but that will.
Yeah.
Wait till I
Yeah.
had their Lord Parent called me cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was actually really sweet. That was actually a really sweet moment right there. So yeah. So yeah, so I forgot that he had surviving family. So like everyone in his immediate family is gone, but I
Mhm.
forgot he had that cousin. So that
Yeah.
was
Small
actually that.
town.
Yeah. So, but you know, one of my favorite moments in this arc was, uh,
Oh, are you finding it there?
sorry, sorry, I had the some stupid video ad or
Oh.
something. So, um, yeah, the Tinkers, when the Tinkers show up, and the
Mhm.
show did not do that. I mean, the show tried to do it today, but it was this moment, like the moment in Lewin's arc in the glass columns was very powerful. I thought this was very powerful with Aram. Aram basically being losing his family, losing his parents, to the
Mhm.
point where he's angry. He wasn't prepared. He wasn't prepared for this type of life. He wasn't prepared to deal with this type of trauma, and because of that, he is willing to. He's like he ends up forswearing his his oath to, well, I don't know if he did an oath, but to that life of nonviolence that the Tinkers are known for, the way of the leaf.
Yes.
And his grandparents basically, like Aiden did to Lewin, just told him, you're no longer one of us. And that was an extremely powerful moment, and Perrin is witnessing all this for the first is witnessing this. We already saw this from Rand's point of view, but now Perrin's witnessing this, and this is a follow-up to the Eye of the World. Like we see Rain and his wife again. Rain and his wife are the reason why Perrin lives. They did like surgery on him to keep him alive, basically.
Mhm.
And so yeah, so the Tinkers have saved his life, but at the same time, Perrin is just like, you know what, Aram, I know the perfect person for you to talk to. Go talk to Tam El Thor, and he'll get you
Mhm.
equipped and he'll get you trained and all that. Um, so I thought that was great. Aram actually does, I think, later save Perrin's life, and so he ends up becoming extremely loyal to him, like a hound almost. At least that's how he's described later. So, but his
Oh.
character does take a slightly dark turn. I'm not going to say how yet, but
Yeah. Oh,
you when you
cool.
get to it, you'll know. So,
Yep. And by the end of this, all of course, Perrin is Lord Perrin, and they're going golden eyes, Lord Perrin, golden eyes. And for once, the cheers that followed did not bother him at all. So I love it.
and
I
yeah,
heard.
and then the White Cloaks, they made this deal with the White Cloaks. They're like, we need your help to fight Trollocs, and so they let them in. They let them
Yeah.
in. And I was expecting more crap to go down with the White Cloaks, and I was expecting to hear about, like, maybe uh some of our other characters get into fights with the White Cloaks, and then there would
Hmm.
be something really really serious happening, while at the same time the Trollocs are attacking. Ultimately, what happens is the White Cloaks basically do nothing. The White
Mm.
Cloaks do not do nothing. They do not help when the battle is going on. And so when the battle's over, and the people from what's the name of that town? It's not Devon Ride. It's the other town in the Two Rivers. I can't think of it right now. Where is it?
Everybody Google. Um,
Oh well, but
yeah.
Fael basically comes with the people, from the farmers from this other town, and they're able to they're able to take out the white or not the White Cloaks, the Trolloc army from the side, basically, and basically drive them away. Um,
Mhm.
and so they win the fight, and then the White Cloaks come back and they're like, "Hey, you made a deal with us. If we helped you,
Mhm.
you would surrender yourself to us. And Perrin's like, you didn't help.
No.
You didn't honor you didn't honor your, I'm sorry, Dane, you didn't honor your part of the bargain. And I'm not going with you. And then the rest of the people, Bran Alvira and the rest of the people are like, you ain't taking him anywhere. And then the White Cloaks realize, they're outnumbered.
Yeah.
and
they're standing up for themselves.
and they're forced to leave because of that. I was actually disappointed with that. I was actually hoping that the White Cloaks would fight with our heroes, or be forced to fight with our heroes, because F around, find out. Like, that's what I was kind of hoping. That's what I was hoping to see. And then I was also hoping that Perrin there would be a situation where Perrin would save Dane Bornhold's life, to the point where Dane would him because of that. And so I think now what would happen is Dane would still hold the grudge, because you're not going to easily let go of, especially if you believe this person murdered, this person's a dark friend, he murdered your father. I mean, so Dane believes that, according to Child Byer's witness, because Child Byer basically said he saw Perrin in the Great Hunt, right before right before the Sean Chan killed Jeffrey Bornhold's army. Well, Child Byer didn't understand what was going on, so he just said, oh, Perrin probably was responsible for it. So that's why they believe Perrin. That's why Dane believes Perrin murdered his father, basically. And so there's a grudge there. There's a big grudge there. And I was hoping, because of that, he's still, and the way it seemed like he was being set up, and like he seemed like, even though he was a little bit on the he was a little what do you call where someone's very fanatical about like a cause or something? I forget what.
Yeah.
I forget the word.
Obsessed, maybe.
So
fundamentalist.
Dane was very fanatical of being a White Cloak, especially under the influence of someone named Aemon Valda. And his father, especially we learned in the Great Hunt, didn't really approve of that. He didn't approve of his I can't think of the word. Not fanaticism, but like
true believer. That's what I call them sometimes.
Not even a true believer, just like they you find out more about, like, the White Cloaks were actually more honorable from the beginning. In this book from Galad. We learned this from Min's point of view. Galad's like, oh, I totally believe what the I totally believe in what the goal of the White Cloaks was to to spread the light, basically. So but Dane started out like that, and I was expecting there to be like this little bit of a redemption arc going on. I don't know. I'm not sure at this point. I'm not sure if that's going to happen at all. But I was expecting Dane to basically like, dang it, and then he just takes off, because parents saved his life or something, and then it would build maybe something would happen, and then maybe they would be allies down the line or something like that. That's kind of what I was hoping to see, but apparently Robert Jordan had other plans. So who am I compared to Robert Jordan?
Exactly. Well, we've got 14 books, so I can imagine that that's going to happen. I think that he was just teasing us and holding off for something else. Hoping there. I don't know. Don't tell me. Anybody? Well, we'll see. But in any case, it was a great victory, and all these things were established. And of course, we had a wedding at the end of it. No, you probably hated it, but I loved it.
No, the wedding was actually really good. I liked it. Was at the end. It was at the end of the chapter where Perrin defeats Slayer, but before the final battle. So Slayer and Lord Luke, I think, are the same person, because when he wounds Slayer in the dream world, Lord Luke runs away, and it looked like he was wounded. It looked like there was something wrong. So there's something going on there. We don't quite know yet, but apparently Lord Luke is the worldly version of Slayer. Slayer is the dream world version of Lord Luke. I can't even explain it because I don't know yet.
Yeah, that's wild. And now that you mention it, I was right. Yeah, they got married before it. But in any case, the whole flowers and things, and then yeah, it's the Slayer. Well, I've been told the closest I've gotten to like some real spoilers is just pay attention to what's going on in the dream world. That is really, really, really important. Or like in that other world where parents like being a dreamer of a with the wolves and all of that. That's really key to what's going to be happening.
Yeah.
So, yay. We're going to get Armageddon and Ragnarok and all of it put together. So I'm really looking forward to it. But yeah, Perrin was the MVP. I was listening a little bit to Prophet of the Dragon, and he told me that, or not me, he told the chat that the battle, the way they did it in the TV show, it was just like they were doing a poor man's Helm's Deep, that it was a lot of the beats they tried to copy from it, and of course it just landed very badly.
Yeah, and it looked a little bit Seven Samurai too.
Mm,
The way the town was laid out, or the way the Two Rivers was laid out. Two Rivers really small, and they didn't
hmm
even really get the layout correctly. I mean, it's all here in the book. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you have Robert Jordan like didn't leave any details out. You could have just used what he wrote and what
hmm
he established, and you could have made something good and believable
Yeah.
without having to, you know, I mean, you didn't have to really. I mean, all Peter Jackson had to do was adapt the Lord of the Rings movie, Lord of the Rings books,
hmm
and I mean, for the most part, he adapted it pretty faithfully. I mean, there's things that they changed, like there's no conspiracy. Instead, Merry and Pippin are buffoons that steal stuff from farmers, or But that being said, like they could have done something equivalent and made it believable,
Yeah.
and it's something faithful, basically.
Yeah. Well, we've learned that the main thing that they wanted to do was validate the showrunner's own personal sexuality. And that
Yeah,
article is insane. I had to stop it though because it was starting to go into some things I didn't want to know perhaps about the story later.
yeah.
So
They did not include any of the male men of the Two Rivers. So like Tamil Thor wasn't there, and Tamil Thor had a good actor. It was the guy that played Bruce Bolton from Game of Thrones. So they didn't
yay.
have Tamil Thor. They didn't have Abel Coffin. They didn't have Bran Alvear. I
Hmm.
mean, they didn't have any of the men. It was all. It was just the only person that was leading was Matt's mom, and they killed her off.
For
They they
crying out
they
loud.
killed her off. They killed Loyal off. They killed Eamon Valda, even though he's not really
Yeah.
Eamon Valda. He's game involved, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh my
And
gosh.
they killed the other. They killed the new wisdom. I forget the new wisdom's name, but they killed her. She's an older woman. Um,
Hmm.
she
Make it
obviously
all about
lives.
the women, I guess. They can't have the
Yeah,
men doing anything awesome.
yeah, and they
Yeah.
and once again, Alana gets skewered by something. Like she got hit by a bunch of arrows in the previous episode, or previous couple episodes ago, and then in this episode she gets hit by a big like arrow or spear or something,
Super
and she
spear.
survived, and she gets healed off screen. Because you know,
Plot armor. Yeah. Well, and of course, it's ridiculous that they killed off Loyal because he's not only alive, but he's awesome and he played his part magnificently. So they
yeah,
suck.
they didn't use the character for anything really meaningful until now,
Mm-mm.
and he was supposed to write the book. He was supposed to write the chronicles, and he just left the book open. You know, he falls into the darkness of the ways. So if they do continue the show, God help us, but if they do
Mm,
continue the show, they'll either forget that he died and he'll just show up again, because he
mm.
got stabbed in the heart at
Oh,
the
for
end of
crying
season
out
one,
loud.
and they never address why he's alive.
Yeah.
So either he'll just come back for no reason, or they'll find him in the dream world.
Oh,
because
for
why
crying
not?
out loud.
Because why not? That's the show does not follow its own rules. So
Yeah, no internal
rules be
stuff.
damned, basically.
Yeah, they have no understanding about what world building means. Um, well, and it ended with a coda of Pat and Fane saying, "I'm going to go to the White Tower, but first, Camlin first. Scourge them and flay them. Let the two rivers pay first, and then Randall Thor, and then laughing he galloped north through the forest, not looking back to see if the others followed. They would. They had nowhere else to go now. So dun dun dun, what's he gonna do?"
Well, there's something that he wants that's in Tarvalon. I'm sure you can guess what that is.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And that's all I'll say.
Yeah. Well, heaven help us. So
So
I just very brief.
I'm actually approaching a chapter with Pat and Fane, and I'm curious how it's going to play out in book 7. So,
Wow.
yeah. So I'm hoping it's something. I hope it lives up to my expectations.
Oh, yeah. You hear that,
So
Robert Jordan from the Great Beyond? Help us out here. All right. So let's move on to what's
Rand,
going on with the IL and everything, and Rand, the kind of the big climax.
did we talk about He Who Comes with the Dawn, which happens right after the glass column? So they get back to the Shandir cliff where the wise ones are, and he learns about who his mother was.
Yes, we talked about that the last time, and of course, you said that there's a little bit more to the story. Oh no, you didn't say that. You said that the TV show. You talked about how they did it in the TV show versus what's in the book. But yeah, we did
Yeah.
talk about that, and that's huge that we finally learn about Rand's mother and his background and how he is Aiel and fits all the
So
prophecies.
his father is Aiel, and his mother is an Outlander, and his mother is dies on Dragon Mountain. That's where Tam basically finds baby Rand and takes him and raises him with his wife, and his wife dies, so he ends up being a single dad, raises him, and yeah. But apparently, she was apparently her name, they didn't like her name, her real name was meaningless, so she went by the name Shail.
Mm-hmm.
And we find out that after she dies, Janduin, who is his biological father, was so distraught that he basically decided to go into the Blight and fight Trollocs until he was killed. Basically,
Yep.
he was
Lost the
never
will
heard from
slip.
again. So yeah, that's the path of a broken heart, I guess. So and yeah, it all happened because did you find out why? Did you learn about the Aiel War and why it started? I think you did. I think at this point you did.
Yeah, but I
So
don't remember.
so basically, the Kyrianan king Layman cut down this tree to create this big throne for himself, and this giant tree was a gift from the Aiel from long ago, and the Aiel got wind of this, and that's where the Aiel War started. The Aiel War, it wasn't so much the Aiel went to war to take over to take over the wet to take over the wetlanders land. They just went there to basically exact justice on that King Layman. So once they caught him and executed him, they went back home. And this was only with 4 clans.
Wow.
And like the combined armies were having a difficult time holding them off. So
wow, all of them uniting under the Dragon Reborn is going to be something that's going to be hell to pay for all the bad guys. So yeah, that was very good, and that was very poignant, of course, because deep down, even though Rand is Aiel, if you will, he still considers himself a man of the two rivers, and even talks about how he doesn't want to feel very comfortable even wearing the clothes sometimes, but he's starting to gradually accept it, and he's starting to accept their ways by
Yes.
the end of this stuff. Now, all hell broke loose also because the bad guy, he was like, I've got the 2 tattoos, the total faker, and civil war kind of breaks out. So that's part of what is the impetus toward the end of this. And they realize that they have to try to beat him. Or am I going ahead into the next book? The
No,
traps of
you skipped to the very end of the book.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's all in Alkir. That's all in Alkir Dal. And so after the He Who Comes with the Dawn, they decide to go to Alkir Dal to find out if everybody's going to proclaim him the Karakarn, the leader of leaders, so to speak. And so throughout that time, they're journeying. Matt starts to have more memories of him being a leader and all that, and he meets this guy named Jason the Tail, who is the singer, who's asking him about the history, of of a good song, or asking about asking about Rand so that he can write a song about him. We do find out who he is, but and we meet a few other people. We meet Hadnan Kader, a dude with eyes, evil eyes. That was actually a really chilling part of chapter. I think it was 36, where Rand is just like, it's Matt's point of view, and Matt talks to Rand. Rand's like, look at him, the eyes. The eyes don't lie. You can tell it's in the eyes, the evil.
Yeah.
And you're reading Fires of Heaven right now, so you'll see what you'll find out what he does
Okay.
shortly, I'll say. But we meet all these colorful characters. Rand is being spied on by Avienda. Those chapters were kind of, I know a lot of people are going to disagree with this, but I was a little annoyed, and they were a little rough to read. And honestly, the whole talking about explaining what Guy Shine was in one of the earlier chapters was a bit of a kill for me too. It was a bit of another rough ride.
Oh, I liked that actually, because that's the kind of stuff that it.
Yeah, but it started, the Aiel started to get a lot more confusing, and all the lore behind the Aiel started getting confusing, and I was just like, I don't care. I just stopped caring. Okay. And so when we were talking about I don't know if it was this book or the next book that they go into the wedding details of the Aiel, I just didn't care.
Oh, okay.
So
fine.
Yeah, the Aiel, I liked the Aiel, and I liked how they introduced the Aiel in the Great Hunt. I liked how the Aiel were introduced again in the Dragon Reborn. Dance with the Shadow Man. I thought that was great. And then after that, the Aiels are just now have become just like every other race. They're just disposable. Warriors, basically. I mean, we see a lot of the Maidens of the Spear.
Yep.
Going forward, because that's who Rand. Who ends up basically protecting Rand because of, I don't know if you remember the chapter where they're in the Cold Rocks hold. And I believe it was the same chapter where it was the chapter after I think Rand was trying to buy a necklace for Avienda. And I think it was their way of, it was his, he doesn't realize, you have to, the woman has to be in Aiel. The women are the ones that approach the men.
Yes, they're the ones that propose,
and the men have to show interest by giving them gifts or something like that. So when he gives her a gift, he's basically saying, "Hey, I'm interested in you." And the thing is, he didn't know that. Didn't know that. So he got her really angry at him again. So that happens, and then of course, the following chapter, the drag car show up, and the drag car try to assassinate him. It kills one of his guys, Shine,
Mhm.
I forget her name, and it kills one of the wise ones, Sienna. And then while that's going on, the Trollocs attack the gate.
Yeah, the
So
Trollocs tend to attack. It's kind of a thing now. It's almost like, "Oh, we got more Trollocs coming."
yeah, and we find out why that occurred. So apparently Jason Natal is not who he appears to be.
Yeah, he is dun 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 a forsaken in Asmodean. I loved that reveal. I really did, and I actually kind of like the character a lot. I feel guilty because
I
he's kind of
I
evil.
really I can't we can't talk about Fires of Heaven. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like so Asmodean was the one that sent was the one that sent the drag car to take care of to try to take care of Rand and all that, so that he could secure Roydion for himself. Because throughout the book, like there's a point where I think Nynaeve goes into the dream world herself. I don't know if it's Nynaeve, and she meets Brigida,
Oh yes,
and
I love
Brigida
that.
says you don't want to go near this guy. That guy that's patrolling the Roydion, the fog. That's someone that's dangerous and that could kill you really quickly. And then we find out that was Asmodean.
Yeah.
Um, so we find out that Asmodean was responsible for that, and he was responsible for Couladin having both of those tattoos, dragon
Mhm.
tattoos on his arms. So not just Rand, because when you're the Kara Karn, and there's only one Kara Karn that shows up ever, from those glass columns, they have both arms are have the dragon tattoo. When the clan chiefs go in, they only have one dragon tattoo. I don't remember which arm it is, but they have only one arm has the dragon tattoo that
Mhm.
signifies that they're a chief.
Yeah.
So they're an Alcair doll, and it's almost like a presidential debate in a way. They're both trying to argue their points and all that. And Couladin pretends, lies, and pretends that he went through the columns. He went through the
Yeah.
columns and he witnessed the history and all the glory of the Aiel. And Rand's
Yeah.
like, really, huh? Well,
Oh yeah, I
I
remembered.
could tell
Yeah.
you what really happened. And the thing is, what comes out of Roydion stays in Roydion. So the clan
Mhm.
chiefs, whenever they come out, they witness, I believe, all the same stuff. Maybe
Yes.
from a different character's point of view, whoever their ancestor is, and they come on, they're mum about what happened. They're mum about the history, because it's just in sharp contrast to what they've grown up believing.
Yeah, it
So
would break them, and the fact that Rand actually goes ahead and blurts it out, we see all hell breaks loose. Like, there's some people that just can't deal.
yeah, and they call that the bleakness. So there's some
Mhm.
Aiel that are struck by the bleakness because of them learning about this, and then Couladin, until their older brother learns about this, and he can't handle the truth, to quote Jack
Mhm.
Nicholson.
Yeah.
And he rips his eye. He basically rips and digs into his eyes, and he's dead.
Yeah, he didn't come out, and then Rand, he blames Rand for that because he thinks he killed him. He murdered
Yes,
him.
yes. So Rand basically, reveals the real stuff, and the clan chiefs that go through it confirm this. So this leads to further conflict with the Shido and Couladin. Couladin tries to attack Rand once again, but this time the maidens protect him. And while all this bedlam is going on, Rand starts, calling, like, storms to get them to stop, and then Lanfear shows up, and we find out that
Yay!
Lanfear is the fat other peddler, the ugly peddler that's with
Yes.
Natal and Kadir. I forget her name, um, but
Yeah.
she's the fat ugly one, the one with fat on her face and all that. So, but yeah, so Lanfear is just like, hey, Asmodean's doing stuff, and he's the reason why all this has happened. And remember our chapter where we were talking about that most powerful song, Riel? Well, he's trying to get it for himself, so you better do something about it. And Rand's like, oh crap. And then,
Yeah.
then he
And then
goes, he remembers how to open a gateway,
yes.
and he starts skimming like he's the Silver Surfer in this void.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's the requisite, let's have a big battle, and he's channeling and all of that jazz. And at the end of the battle, wait, doesn't Asmodean, I don't want to say he got stilled, because that's something that's totally different, but
He got shielded.
shielded, that's what it is.
So Rand cut off his connection to the Dark One. So that, like, the Forsaken they have this black cable, this black or not, it looks like a black cable, this black, thread that connects them to the Dark One, and that keeps them from, because Sidene is tainted. They don't, all like the male Forsaken don't have to worry about losing their minds because they're connected directly to the Dark One. Well, he cuts off with the help of he has the little fat man Terangrial that keeps in his pocket. He is able to actually, because him and Asmodean are basically they're both playing tug of war with this Sa'angreal. It's the most powerful, the male version of the Sa'angreal, and they're destroying most of the city around them. And the chase was very interesting because the chase starts off with like a thin sheet of fire that's coming towards him, and Rand has to basically turn it into dust or something. And then then he throws like these ribbons, these silver ribbons that are little slicers. So he has to basically stop the slicers from slicing him in 3 parts and all that. So it's a very it's a very crazy fight, very crazy fight. It turns into a tug of war, and then Rand ultimately wins by cutting him off from the Dark One, and then Lanfear shows up again, and she basically shields him, keeping him from channeling.
Yes. So it says at one point, that he was on the brink of death. I mean, it's really a really cool battle. And so now that he is shielded or whatever, cut off, Lanfear actually wants Asmodean to be with Rand as a teacher. He's like, the others use his teachings well, Luce there, and the others are still out there. Samuel with his envy of you, Demandred with his hate, Raven with his thirst for power. And so, and he used a Tangriel thing when he was fighting as well, like that helped like enhance his power. So that's also another thing that Asmodean wanted to get that. So in a way, he's going to be learning from the enemy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And that continues in the Fires of Heaven. So
let's see. Oh yeah, and there was like a whole bunch of Tangriel like everywhere. I mean, when they were fighting, they took Rudian and just basically what did it say? Like it was like a giant had stomped through and just threw everything into the air.
Yeah. And then what's funny is it became livable right after that.
Yes, that was wild. Yeah. And now everyone can be there. And there was a foot-tall figurine, a robed woman with a serene face, worked in white stone, holding up a clear spear in one hand, unbroken, as useless to him or to any man as his male twin was to Lanfear. And he considered breaking it, but he was like, she was looking for that. Says Asmodean, she will rip out your heart to put her hands on it. So whatever that little statue thing was is definitely something that Lanfear wants.
Yeah, she was tempting him throughout. She was tempting him. If we have this very powerful Sa'angreal, you and I are connected. We can kill the Dark One. So that just tells you how crazy she is.
Yep. She's batshit crazy.
And she is the reason why the world went to hell.
Dumb bitch. Yeah, she was the one who's like, hey, let's try this. Well, let's push this button and see what happens.
Yep.
And Rand says, the first thing you'll teach me, says Desmodian, now going by the name of Jazin Natil, he says he's going to keep him like that. The first thing you'll show me is how to guard my dreams. So that is definitely something that they all need to do because they're so vulnerable in their dreams. And then, yeah.
Yeah. And that's pretty much, the Shadow Rising.
Yeah. Oh, and he fulfilled the prophecy of he, the Dragon Reborn, or whatever they call he who comes with the dawn for the Aiel, he will bind you together and destroy you. So Brand was thinking about that when he heard about how some people went off with the other dude and some people stayed with him and some people, as you said, kind of lost their crap.
Yeah.
And, mm-hmm.
Yeah, that happened. Yeah, that happened. I'm curious. I'm curious how more of the prophecies are going to play out. Especially where I'm at in my read. So, yeah, there's still things that have been prophesied in this book. That's I still haven't gotten to yet. Like for instance, the Matt stuff. Like Matt will lose half of his will lose half of his light, so to speak. I haven't gotten to that yet. And then there's him meeting the daughter of the 9 moons.
His wife.
I haven't gone to that either. So
yeah, though he's shagging one of the gals, but I don't think she's the one. And I like the way it ended kind of bleakly, where was it Ruark was saying the question is where and how it ends, and for that Rand had no answer. The night's cold was already coming on. Dun dun dun. And then they have the prophecy. And when the blood was sprinkled on ground where nothing could grow, the children of the dragon did spring up, the people of the dragon armed to dance with death. And he did call them forth for the wasted lands, and they did shake the world with battle. Dun dun dun. The end of the 4th book. So I have a lot of does because everything is here. Now you see that's from the Wheel of Time, chief historian at the Court of the Sun in the 4th Age. So now I might be ignorant. Is that someone is this a prophecy or is this something that they're writing from the future and writing the history?
I think that might be from the future. 4th Age, because this is the 3rd Age.
Yeah, I was about ready to say. I just saw it say the 4th Age, and I'm like, oh my gosh! So this is where it moves into Legends.
How's every chapter 1 begin? The wheel of time turns and ages come and pass, leaving memories that become legend. Legend fades to myth, and even myth is long forgotten when the age that gave it birth comes again. In one age, called the 3rd Age by some, an age yet to come, an age long past, a wind rose on the great plain called the Caroline grass. The wind was not the beginning. There are neither beginnings nor endings to the turning of the wheel of time, but it was a beginning. So,
there we go.
It's always a different wind in a different location on each chapter, but other than that, it's the same verbiage usually.
Yeah. Okay.
So
this is where people. Yeah. Okay. There we go. 3rd Age. This is where people who are listening, maybe from the replay, are going to go, "Oh my gosh, is this woman special?" It's like, no, I just still learning the history. It's hard enough learning real history, and so we're in the 3rd Age because, of course, I'm so immersed into Tolkien's ages, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know I'm learning new stuff, but it's so much fun. I mean, it's been a long time that I have just read something, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've just got to keep finding out what's going to happen with these people.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, if you were to rate this as a book, though, what would you give it if you were to give it out of 10?
I'd probably give it an 8 because there were a lot of S tier chapters in my opinion. You had He Who Comes with the Dawn, you had the 2 glass column chapters, you had Golden Eyes, you had the chapter leading where the parent loses his family, you had the chapter where he loses his men, and you had the chapter where Aram loses his parents, and that emotional scene. and I mean, there was that great chapter with Tom and Moraine, and of course the stone stands rally to the stone stands.
Yes.
Like the like entire Trolloc battle in the Stone of Tear took up a whole chapter. It
Yeah,
wasn't
there
just
were
like a
some
page.
amazing moments in this book.
So this, I mean, and that's the reason why a lot of people say that The Shadow Rising is their favorite book in the series. I mean, there's a lot, and you have the game changing, thing with Suwan, the Amerlin seat being deposed by someone else, by someone who's, especially during a critical time when the last battle is looming, and
Mhm.
all of a sudden now there's, bad actors, causing, causing shifts in the most powerful institution in Randland, basically.
Mhm.
I mean, like you said, it's like the church almost.
Mhm. Yep, very much. Well, and you think about it with all the novices and the, if you will, trials and things. So obviously they're not that supernatural. It really is reminding me of nuns and the way nuns will have different charisms, like the brown, the Carmelites, the whites, the Dominicans. So it's definitely got those aspects of it that I find a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for. And then of course there was the other big moment where Rand basically leaves Kalendor. He's like, you're likely going to turn on me, so I'm going to leave something here that that will signify that I'm going to return. And so he puts Kalendor into the floor of the heart of the
Yes.
stone. And I'm curious when Kalendor is going to be retrieved, because I'm still at the point where it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, it is very momentous. It's like King Arthur putting the sword back in the stone. It's like, what the hell are
Yeah.
you doing?
Yeah,
Are
and
you insane?
what's funny is that like when Nynaeve and Elaine, sail away
Mhm,
when they sail away, they can feel it. Like they feel the boom from
mhm.
that action. And that what's funny is that chapter was before the chapter where we actually see Rand do it. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. So good. Yeah, I agree with you with that. I'm having a bit of a different feeling about these books though, because I think the longer they get, it's, and I don't know if this sounds ignorant, but I think you have something like The Dragon Reborn, which pretty much I really like it. Well, The Great Hunt is still my favorite so far, where I think it being shorter, it feels like there's a little more momentum, if that makes sense. And there weren't moments where you kind of tend to pause. On the other hand, I know why they're doing it and why we're reading this like in this Shadow Rising, that it's so much longer. It's coming to me to feel more like a history book rather than an adventure book, if that makes sense.
yeah, I mean the first book was them being pursued.
Mhm.
That was driving the story, and then book 2 and book 3 was them pursuing something.
Mhm.
And so it was, yeah, so the first 3 books felt like an adventure,
Yep.
a fantasy, like a true fantasy to me. Whereas, then after this is where it gets a little bit more nuanced, and characters it's there's still some discovery. There's
Mhm.
still, but it's not really, it's more about basically fulfilling prophecies and just preparing for the last battle. And so he had to go through, the IEL, he had to get the IEL support.
Mhm.
And then, so there was still some journeying. It's book 6 where that kind of that stops. So they don't,
Mm.
like book 5, you're reading it.
Mhm.
There's still a lot of journeying and a lot of distances being covered. So yeah, book 6 is really where that kind of stops. So
Okay. Yeah.
so I'm curious what, so yeah, like there's the dynamic shifts the further you read. So
Yeah.
but I really did enjoy the first 3 a lot more, because it felt like there was a lot more interesting stuff to learn, and there was a lot
Mhm.
of interesting discoveries and foreshadowing. Like I like the Egwene um accepted trial. It was interesting
Mhm.
foreshadowing. I was just like, holy crap, what is this?
Yeah.
And I liked how Dragon Reborn ended and the Great Hunt ended. Um, the way this book ended was okay, but I actually was a little disappointed that I got interrupted to go have him go chase Asmodean. I
Hmm.
was hoping they would have to fight their way out of Elkir Dal
Oh,
and then retreat or regroup somewhere, and then he that or what's funny was I was actually expecting a final trial for the Kara Karn, which is why the final chapter is called the Trials of Roydion. Or the trap, not the trials, the traps of Roydion. I thought he was going to have to go back to Roydion and do a final thing, another
oh,
final test. But no, that test was him going after Asmodean. The traps were Asmodeans.
yeah.
So it subverted my expectations. I'll say that. And rethinking about it, compared to when I first read it, I'm a little more forgiving of it, of 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 that shift to him going after Asmodean.
Yeah. Well, and it's feeling just so much more, for lack of a better word, epic. It's bigger and the world is expanding and it's so cool. I mean, I really am enjoying how he's doing that. But yeah, everything that you said is also how I'm feeling.
Some of the longer chapters were kind of rough. I used
Mhm.
to look forward to the longer chapters and like the Dragon Reborn and the Great Hunt because they always had some interesting, like, there was developments or there was things we didn't know before
Yeah.
that now we know that that changes things and all that. The longer chapters in these later books have been more rough for me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm I just like I like the characters. I don't like them nearly as much to know exactly what they're thinking and they're feeling and all that because it's just I care more about the story and the plot,
Hmm.
and I want to see more. I want to see the bad guys be more active. Like the bad guys are barely active in these books. So like it's
Yeah.
like they're just in their own realms waiting, and then all of a sudden they pop up
Yeah.
and they
And
do
usually
something.
at the end of it, well, I'm hoping that, well, I'm sure that this is all gonna kind of pay off because, like, we do need to get to know these characters. I Maybe that's the word I'm trying to think. I feel like we're just kind of sitting in the world right now, even though there is some action. It's like you're visiting this world, and he's kind of explaining everything to you, and you're feeling it, and you're smelling it, and it's slower. That doesn't mean that I'm not enjoying it. And to be honest, in this next book, the one I'm reading right now, the fifth book, the chapters are a bit shorter, so I'm finding it a little easier, if that makes sense. And I'm not saying I'm not enjoying the books. That's what I'm not. I'm loving every minute of it, but it definitely feels just so much bigger.
Yeah, Fires of Heaven was. I was further disappointed. I had high. My problem with this book and the Fires of Heaven was that I had very high expectations,
Ah.
and I read I read through this and I read through Fires of Heaven expecting something more,
Hmm.
and yeah, like I was at a point where I wasn't sure if I was going to continue reading because
Yeah.
I'll be honest, like at I found a lot of the chapters more rough. Like more, I found too many of the chapters too rough to be interesting, and I'm just like, there's not. I mean, when I did my book club, I was just like, what is there to talk about? This was just them, just the characters just talking about crap basically the
Hmm.
entire time, or it was over, or there was too many. There was 4 pages of paragraphs describing things that just made me fall. Like I would read it, I'd be laying down reading it, I'd fall asleep.
Ah. Interesting. Well, I read it in
The
the morning.
sleep was more interesting than the read, and
Well,
so
you went to the dream world.
yeah, the only difference is I don't remember the dream.
Oh
It's
no.
nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
but the reason why I'm getting through book 7 right now is because well, I kind of understand, like book 6 is the same. and then
Mhm.
has a very strong ending. And then book 7 basically begins what they call the slog, and the story just like really like the story moves to a crawl. But
Mm.
there's things, there are good things that happen that have made it interesting enough for me to keep reading it.
Yeah.
Um, but the story slows down quite a bit. But there's what I like about currently, what I'm liking about the book right now, Crown of Swords, is that there's interesting things that are revealed, and there are some developments. So when Mike's book review says, is Crown of Swords part of the slog? I don't see it, and I'm kind of
Yeah.
with him on that. So I mean,
Mm.
there are things I do like. There are chapters I do find interesting, but there's a lot that I don't, and
Mm.
most of that attributes to the Supergirls.
Ah. All
The
right. Well,
rant
that's in
stuff I like. The rant stuff I like for the most part. The Matt stuff, the Matt's growing on me quite a bit. The parent stuff, well, parent's absent from Fires of Heaven, so um, but when parent comes back, it's pretty
mm.
strong comeback in book 6.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm like, well, first of all, I don't mind the Supergirl so far, so maybe I won't mind that. But I'm also keeping the eyes on the book 14 because we I feel like I'm very fortunate that the books are completed. So I'm not waiting and going, wait, what the hell is he doing? Wait, nothing really happened here. Oh gosh. So
You got
I'm
to remember,
looking
Robert
toward
Jordan
the
didn't
end.
write. He didn't write the last 3 books. I
Well,
mean,
I
he
know
wrote. There are
technically.
things that were written. The epilogue was written, but
Yeah.
like the last battle, he didn't. When I think about it, and maybe I'll talk about it when I get to book 14. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a shame that he wasn't able to finish the story
Oh
ultimately.
yeah, I mean everything about it is just a complete shame and it's so sad. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm just looking toward whatever the ending is because at the end of the day, it will be his ending. We know that, but
Yeah.
the execution of it, I've heard enough rumors or from people that say that it's not the best, obviously, because Robert Jordan is the crafter. He is the artist behind this, and that Sanderson nobody could take the place of him. So you're going to be seeing the ending and it's brought to a conclusion, but you know, I understand that it's not going to quite be the same.
No, it's not.
No.
But hey,
Yeah.
we
But
got something at least.
yeah, well, exactly. And so that's where I kind of look. It's like, okay, like I'm reading when I was reading the Dragonlance books, I'm like, okay, there's like 15 of them right now. So whatever is going on, I know that it's gonna kind of pay off. Though that's maybe not quite the same because those aren't as epic. They're very short and all that.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I agree with your 8 out of a 10. So we're gonna wind up this party. So can you tell us where can we find you?
Yeah, Nerdporeal Lifeform is my channel.
Mhm,
It's been a while since I've made any videos, but I usually do, I usually make I've made retrospectives on, movies and games, video games and shows. But I also do book club where I stream live talking about and having book club discussion about the Wheel of Time with usually with a member of the White Cloaks or Prophet of the Dragon or technically Mexican or
mhm,
whoever else is friends with us.
mhm,
So that's going to be on Sunday. We're going to be covering the second half, the final half of The Crown of Swords, book 7 of the Wheel of
mhm.
Time. And Nerdporeal will probably continue. I was thinking of doing it this week, but I'm probably going to wait till next week since I'm doing the stream tonight instead. So
Mhm.
probably next week, and I'm going to probably talk about the rest of the Wheel of Time season 3,
Oh
and
boy.
hopefully I get some people to join me for that. So, but that's where I'm at.
Alrighty. Well, thank you for being here. And you can find me here at Miss Smart Muses, where I talk about what makes me laugh, makes me cry, makes me happy, makes me sad, or just really ticks me off. What ticks me off right now is I have an earache, but I will get over that. And I haven't been able to do my morning show because I've actually been working, paying some bills. Like I have some contracts I've been fulfilling, but I plan to get back to it next week, God willing. Also, I have some more shorts coming up and more of the 10 Commandments. Yeah, I broke up my 10 commandments to talk about online trolling, because that's been an issue that a lot of people have been debating: is should Christians, should Catholics be online trolling, and is it a sin if it happens on the internet? So if you're interested in that kind of thing, go ahead and check that out. I also might get back to House of the Plantagenet. That will depend on my time, because I love talking about English history. Anything else? Well, no. Oh, stay tuned for Magitech Mags. We are going to be talking sometime very soon about fashion in the Lord of the Rings. We were doing our fashion thing. We like spring fashions, and so we started talking about the Lord of the Rings dresses, and we're like, dang it, we need to do that. So if you want to talk about the pretty clothes in Lord of the Rings, that's going to be upcoming. So yay. I'm so happy you were here. Thank you, Nerdporeal, and for helping me through this, because it is tricky. It is very tricky because it is so big. I feel like it's like the first time. Hell, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything comparable, because the Lord of the Rings might be close, but I've read Lord of the Rings so many times, and it's been so much part of my youth that I don't even remember how I got into it. I don't remember a time I didn't know this, but this is completely new territory for me. So, but I'm loving it. I mean, good stuff. All right, so we're going to talk. I want to thank Grifter for being here. Grifter 23X, Dig Outlaw, Swift -1, and I saw people coming in and out. Thank you for watching. I'd be nothing without you. You are a part of this. And let's see. And those that are maybe watching on the replay, please give us your comments in the chat. So, I guess if you have any last thoughts, speak now or forever hold your peace, Brian.
Yeah, read if you like fantasy, and if you like, world building and detailed pages and pages and pages of obnoxiously detailed work, art, so to speak. Definitely read The Wheel of Time.
Well, all righty. Well, thank you. Okay, have a great day, everyone. Have a great day, and be certain to, well, I guess not watch that crappy show, or if you do, be sure to crap on it and read good fiction. Good fantasy is out there.